Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where we break down cybersecurity concepts in simple terms. Today, we will be discussing about Annexure A controls in ISO 27001. We will also understand why it is important and its significance. So let's dive into it. Annexure A. What is Annexure A controls? If you look at the ISO 27001 document, we would find a separate section called Annexure A. Annexure A is a reference list of all the security controls in ISO 27001. So you can use these controls to implement any of the controls as part of your risk treatment process. Now, for example, in my previous video, you might have seen that I have explained how you can identify a risk. And then once you identify a risk, you are supposed to treat a risk. How can you treat a risk? You have to implement certain security controls. Now, these security controls are defined in Annexure A control. So, Annexure A is a reference list of security controls in ISO 27001. It is a reference set for organization to select and implement any control as part of their risk treatment process. These controls are not mandatory by themselves, but these controls are also designed to manage the risks and improve the security of the information assets. All the controls of ISO 27001 are defined in Annexure A of the standard. These controls actually they help the organization to protect the confidentiality, the integrity and the availability of your data. You might ask like why do we need to implement these controls? Because we have to treat the risk. And why are we treating the risk? So that we can protect the confidentiality, integrity and availability of our data. So these controls act actually as a roadmap to the security best practices. ISO 27001 2022 version has actually categorized these controls in four main categories: organizational control, people control, physical control, and technological control. Each category has certain set of controls, like the organizational controls has 37, people category has 8 controls, and the rest you can see in the slide. Now let us understand what is organizational control. Naming convention will be like this: A.5 organization. Whenever there is A next to any of the control, understand that it is annexure. Under Annexure 5 organizational control, you will have 37 controls. Now, these are few of the examples that I have mentioned here, but you will have 37 such controls under organizational controls. Now, the focus of organizational controls very much into defining the policies, the procedure, and the process so that you ensure that the information security is built into the way the business operates. For example, defining the policy, the asset management policy, or the segregation of duty policy. All these policies, the procedure, and the process that you define, how to define, are actually mentioned in this organizational control. People's control. People controls has 8 controls in it. Since people are the weakest link in the security, these controls are focusing on training, awareness, and reducing the human error or the insider threats. Hence, these controls are related to hiring, training, or HR security. For example, Annexure A.6.6 talks about confidentiality or non-disclosure agreements. 6.8 talks about information security event reporting, and A.6.1 talks about screening. Let us understand what the screening control is about. It says background verification checks on all candidates to become personal shall be carried out prior to joining the organization, which means any person that is joining your organization, you make sure that a background verification is being carried out prior to joining the organization. And on an ongoing basis, taking into consideration, and it should be an ongoing basis. That means every person who joins your organization, you should make sure that a background verification is done and those artifacts are being documented for the auditor's review. And when you do the background verification, you need to make sure you're taking into consideration applicable laws, regulations, and ethics. See, for example, in countries like UK, GDPR is one of the mandatory regulations because when you're doing background verification, you're dealing with the PII, the personal identifiable information. So when you're dealing with PII, you make sure that you are following the GDPR rules and also proportional to the business requirement. So your business requirement says that you need to do the background verification, but at the same time, the law of the country says that you need to adhere to the GDPR rules. So you balance both of these and ensure that the background verification is done properly. The classification of the information to be assessed and the perceived risk. So this is what the screening control talks about. Physical control. Physical control has 14 controls in it. These physical controls deal with securing the actual environment, which is nothing but the physical office. Things like access to office, server rooms, CCTV surveillance, all these come under the physical control. Hence, these controls are related to the facilities, access, and physical assets. Example, Annexure 7.1 talks about physical security perimeters. 7.2 talks about physical entry. 7.4 talks about physical security monitoring. Like how do you monitor the physical security? Through CCTV cameras or security guards. So these are some of the things that you will implement to make sure that you adhere to this control. Let's understand what physical security perimeter control is all about. Physical security perimeter shall be defined and used to protect the areas that contain information and other associated assets. If this is your office, okay, say for example, in any big IT park, this is a big IT park and this is your office. See, in this huge IT park, there will be multiple offices, right? Say, supposing this is your office A and this is your office B. Do you think an employee of office A can go into the office B? This is a huge IT park, and it has multiple offices. So do you think an employee of office A can enter office B? Now this company A and this company B have their own physical perimeters defined, and they have to secure this physical perimeter. That is what this security perimeter talks about. You will make sure you have a security guard standing in every corner of this organization. You will have these access entries, right? Using these access cards only you can make an entry to this office. So these are the controls that you will apply to ensure that the physical security perimeters are secured. Technological control. Technological control has 34 controls in it. So these mostly deal with all the technical controls. These cover the IT and cyber safeguards such as encryption, malware protection, user access management, secure software development. And these controls are related to the IT controls, access, and system coding. 8.1 talks about user endpoint security. 8.2 talks about privilege access rights. 8.11 talks about data masking. For example, 8.1, let's understand user endpoint devices. This control says information stored on, processed, or by access via user endpoint devices shall be protected. That means what? Every endpoint device, every device that is used for storing or processing any information should be secured. How will you secure it? Using an endpoint security. So it depends on an organization how they are going to secure the endpoint device. But it says that you make sure your endpoint devices are secured, protecting our information. Now, why are these Annexure A controls so important? People, process, technology, and physical environment. These are the 4 pillars of any organization. Annexure A helps the organization systematically think about every corner of information security. Which are the 4 corners of information security, or which are the 4 pillars of information security? They are people, process, technology, and physical environment. So it ensures that nothing gets missed when building an information security management, because you're thinking from all these 4 perspectives. Annexure A, it's like a catalog of best practices that an organization can use to protect their information. Since there are 93 controls in total in Annexure A, does it mean that you have to implement all the controls? No. All these controls are not mandatory. Just keep it in mind that they are not mandatory. You need to consider each and every control and decide whether this is relevant to your business or not. For example, see, here we had a physical perimeter control, right? Now, if you're having your business working remotely, all your applications, all your assets are in cloud, then do you think the physical security perimeter will be applicable to you, to your organization? Definitely not, right? Because everything is in cloud, everything, all the employees are working in remote. At that point of time, you can provide a proper business justification saying that all the assets are managed by cloud and we don't have any physical environment. So this control is not applicable for us. This way, you have to take each and every control and decide if it is relevant for your business or not. And this is the importance. Is all about Annexure A controls and why it is important. In my next video, I'll be talking about statement of applicability document, its importance. So stay tuned. Until then, goodbye. Have a great day.